Hi vinyl community, it's Mike Vinyl Spiral here, and today I'm going to show my Record Store Day 2023 purchases. As usual, I went to Jumbo Records in Leeds, lovely people, and I arrived a bit later than I normally do because I was planning on arriving at about 5:30, 5:45 in the morning for an 8 o'clock opening. And the alarm went off. I looked out the window. It was pouring with rain, and I thought, no, I'll leave it a bit. So, in fact, I actually arrived at the store at about 6:45, again for 8 o'clock kickoff, and I got to the counter at about 9:30. But I managed to get everything I wanted, and also I ended up standing next to a really lovely guy called Matthew. And we had plenty to talk about. I think it's the first time I've had an in-depth conversation with anybody about mellotrons. And Matthew's also in a tribute band. It's a Hawkwind tribute band called Stephen Hawkwind, and they're pretty good. There's a few videos of them on YouTube. So it was a really nice day in the end, even though I got a little bit wet, but as I say, I got everything I need, everything that I actually wanted. Anyway, first off, this one. When the list came out, this one was near the top of my list. This is Visions of Dawn by a Brazilian singer called Joyce, and she's accompanied by Nana Vasconcelos and Maurizio Maestro. Nana Vasconcelos is a percussionist, and Maurizio Maestro, he played guitar, bass on this, and he also produced it. And this was recorded in Paris in 1976, but it didn't actually get a release until 2009, and it's not been available since then until Record Store Day this year. It's an absolutely beautiful record. I mean, on the label it says, Far Out Recordings proudly present the lost Brazilian acid folk masterpiece on limited edition clear vinyl. So here we are. That's the album. So the reason it was near the top of my list is that last year there was an EP by Joyce on the Record Store Day list, and I took a punt on it. It was called Feminina, and absolutely loved it. And so I thought, well, you know, if I see anything else by her, then I'm going to pick it up. So I did, and this is really nice. It's very Brazilian, but I don't know if I'm imagining it, but you know, I think you can tell it was recorded in Paris in the 1970s. But it's a really lovely album. So there you go, that's the first one. And secondly, there's this one, and this is a dreadful thought. Thatchers Not Dead. This is a film soundtrack. In fact, it's a documentary film soundtrack by David Menck, who does various film scores, and Leonel Limonana, who's one half of the Limonanas. So this is pretty heavy psych, sort of a lot of it, and there you go. It's pretty good stuff. I mean, it's the sort of thing I'd expect from the Limonanas, and so the film director is a guy called Guillermo Podrovnik, sorry. And yeah, it's really good. So it's I think the idea that Thatcher's Not Dead is that you know, she was really the architect of basically all that's wrong in this country at the moment, in the UK. You know, we're in a situation where young people can't can't get decent housing without paying an absolute fortune for it, and everything's just dreadful. You know, it's a world dominated by greed, and it's not nice. Anyway, so various tracks on here. The first one, I quite like the title. It's called Snatcher. Now, for those of you who don't know, before becoming Prime Minister, Margaret Thatcher was an education secretary in a previous Conservative government. And the one thing she's known for in that role as education secretary is taking away free school milk from primary school children. And she became known as Margaret Thatcher Milk Snatcher. So that's where that comes from. But, you know, the various tracks, you know, there's one called Not Our War, which refers to the Falklands War, and the Iron Lady, well, obviously, you know, that's it. NUM Confrontation, that's when she took on the National Union of Mine Workers, and unfortunately won that battle. And the unions have taken a long time to recover from what she did. And there you go, you know, so that's it. Great album, bit of heavy psych and very political. Next up, and I like Snapped Ankles, and this is an EP, and it's an EP of covers. I show you the vinyl. Yeah, it's nice, nice yellow vinyl. As I say, it's called Blurtations, and it's 6 covers of songs by 1980s band. They're a sort of jazz punk band called Blurt, and there's this sort of this card with it, and this the artwork on this is very similar to the self-titled second album from Blurt, and in that there's a guy in that sort of pose on the ground, but his head's not in the sand there. So there you go. That's that. It's pretty good stuff, and I always like Snapped Ankles. So there you go. That's that one. Right. Next up, this one. Now this record, it was on the Record Store Day list last year, and it never arrived. And then it was going to be on the Black Friday list, and again, it never arrived. But now it's here. And again, this was the one that was absolutely top of my list, because I'd listened to it online in preparation for buying it in 2022, and I was really disappointed when I couldn't get it then. So it's Flash and the Dynamics, a New York sound. And this was recorded in 1971. And it's very much sort of Afro Cuban funky disco sort of New York sound. There it is. It's on lovely purple vinyl, and I was really pleased to see it actually came in a polyline sleeve, because a lot of the Record Store Day purchases, you know, even though you pay a premium for them, you just get them in some manky paper sleeve, which I don't like at all. But this is a great album. The standout tracks are in fact, the first track on side 1 is Gajira. What's it called? I've forgotten the name of it now. Oh yes, Quadra Psychedelica. So apparently Quadra is a Cuban dance. So it's a psychedelic version of that dance. And then Yo Te Quiero is another track on side 1, which I really like, and that in Spanish means I love you. So there you go. Flash and the Dynamics, New York sound. They're the sort of band that I think if you went to see them, you would immediately want to go and see them again. you know, they look like they'd be absolutely brilliant live. But there you go, that's from 1971, Flash and the Dynamics. Next up is this one, first time on vinyl, the Beavis Front Hit Squad. I like Beavis Front, always have done. This is really the project of one man, Nick Solomon, and he produces an awful lot of albums. So this one is from 2004, and to say it's the first time on vinyl. It's on Fire Records, and I won't get it out of the sleeves, but again, you see that paper sleeves here, but that's the label, and there you go. That's the second one. But it's like a single sleeve with two albums in. Quite a few of the Beavis Front albums have got got this sort of packaging. I don't really like it. I'd rather have a gatefold and have one on each side. But I've listened to it once. It's a pretty good album, but then I really like Beavis Front. But I must say that I think he releases far too much stuff. I think a bit of quality control would come in handy. So, the albums are often a little bit up and down, and you wonder whether maybe a single album would have sufficed. I've not got into this one enough to know whether that's the case with it, but I like it. So that's it, Beavis Front and Hit Squad. Right. Next one is this, and this is Jazz Dispensary. Jazz Dispensary issue a compilation album every year now. I mean, for the last few years, there's always been a Jazz Dispensary album. They always look really nice. But again, it came in this, just in a cardboard in a sleeve. Despite the name, I was going to say it's not really jazz, but it is jazz. But it tends to be sort of jazz funk, and there you go. That's the vinyl. I think that looks really, really lovely. So various tracks on here. It's called a Hotel Jolie Dame, and it's got various tracks on here. So my favourite is it's called Light as a Feather, and it's a track by Flora Purim, and Flora Purim is a Latin jazz singer. But in fact, the track on this, I would say the vocals are more operatic than they are jazz. But I always like these albums, as I say, particularly because of the lovely vinyl that you get, and so that's that. Again, I was always going to get that one, and I couldn't go away without this. This is the Slits Rough Cut, and obviously it's various rough mixes of their album cut, and it's one of those things that I think you never know what you're going to get when it's sort of alternative tracks. Mike PC31 showed this as well, and he had a lot of praise for it, and so do I. I think it's excellent. So we've got the same running order, and apart from there's I Heard It Through the Grapevine on last track on side one, which isn't on the original album, but I think it was on various reissues from time to time. So that's that. It's really nice. Sort of notes here from Viv Albertine, remembering the whole process. And it was produced by, the album was produced by Dennis Bovell, who's better known for reggae releases, but I think back in the 70s that there was a real there's a real affinity. I think reggae and punk seem to sort of go together somehow. Anyway, that's the Slits and Rough Cut. And finally, I bought a single, and it's by the great Leeds Kings of Minimalist Rock, Yard Act, and you see it's on orange vinyl, and what it is that Elton John got to hear about them, and he was so impressed that he wanted to do something with them. So this album has got this single has got on one side, it's got their track 100% Endurance, which was on their debut album. It's the last track, I think, on the debut album. But Elton John features on this single, and on the B side or the other side, I think it would be a double A side. It's Yard Act doing Elton John's Tiny Dancer, and somebody special was in the shop, so I got the cover signed, and as you see, there it is. It's all signed to me. It says, to Mike, love with all my heart from Elton John. But obviously, Elton John wasn't in Jumbo Records in Leeds on Saturday morning. But James Smith, the singer from Yard Act, he was in the shop, and he was doing the signing, and he thought, yeah, this is quite amusing. People would rather have Elton John's signature than his, so he duly obliged. So there you go, a fake Elton John signature. At least it's in capital, so there can be no doubt it's not real. So that's it. So those are my pickups from Record Store Day. I've enjoyed watching other people do the same thing, and so many releases out there that I don't think you get two videos the same. People go after so much, although when you're standing in the queue, you always think, oh my God, I bet the person in front of me is going to get the last copy of the one that I really want. But as I say, it didn't happen to me this time, and I had a great day. So until next time, see ya.